what we need to be looking at is how we actually honour ourselves and look at all the ways in which that actually benefits us on a holistic level. So we need to look at our mind, our body, our spirit, how we can actually connect to self. So firstly, we need to set some boundaries for ourselves, to honour ourselves, and focusing on what does that actually look like for us. How do I know that I'm taking care of me? What do I need to change in my environment that honours me to be the best version of me? So self-care, or honouring ourselves, can look like many different forms. For some, it might be getting out in nature, taking a walk, grounding ourselves, connecting with all of the different elements, the air, the water, looking into a fire. All of those things can bring us peace. They can help us feel more present. When we connect, we feel more present. Why do we need to have boundaries? Boundaries for ourselves. They're not for anybody else. They're about how we set the script for our life. It's how we hold ourselves accountable for our choices. It's how we say no. How's that for a word? Pretty sure most of us don't know how to say no. I, for one, have not always been very good at saying no. But you know what? It's actually great to say no. Saying no means I'm honouring me. That's a boundary. We think about boundaries and that can be quite a hard line. It's not about it being a hard line. It's not about anybody else. It's about us. What I mean by having boundaries that are not about anybody else, but about us, most often other people will feel that when we put a boundary in place, that we're doing it to push them away or to harm them, to say, I don't want you in this space. But this is about creating a safe space for me. When I set a boundary, it's about honouring all the parts of me to say, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. So when I put those and I hold that mirror in place, I reflect, I push back that little bit, I feel a little bit more empowered. I feel that I'm in control of my life rather than feeling I need to be in control of somebody else. To give an example of a boundary is, how often would a friend or a family member say, can you drop everything and do this for me? How often do we say, sure, I'll do it, and then walk away and, to some degree, resent it, or to feel slightly anxious that if I say no, what's that going to bring up for me or for somebody else? Putting that boundary in place to say, not today. No, it's not ever, it's just not today. I need to take time for me to step back. Some of the words that we can use when we're setting boundaries for ourselves is actually replacing the words that we would use ordinarily. Boundaries are not about things being harsh. They can be very gentle. It can be saying to myself, that you matter, you care. What I want, what I desire, what I feel, it's worth acknowledging. Quite often with boundaries, we don't like to put them into place. We tend to feel that we're hurting somebody else in the process. I think the biggest boundary for me has been learning how to say no, and how to say no gently. And that can look like, today I'm not up for seeing others, and that's okay. It's when somebody's holding that boundary with me and for me and honouring me. It's the holding of space. I think we need to learn how to hold space for ourselves before we can learn to hold space for others. And that can be a beautiful boundary in itself, learning how to hold space for me first.